Maritime Cybersecurity Awareness Training. This program will help you become your organization's greatest asset in the fight against cybercrime. Vessels and ports are more and more dependent on sophisticated technical equipment and software to enhance their operations. Mariners rely heavily on software-driven communications, power, and navigation devices to support vessel effectiveness and mission. The maritime industry's reliance on computer-aided technology is growing exponentially, while cybersecurity threats increase similarly every day. Did you know that a hacker could be attacking your computer every 39 seconds? According to a study by the University of Maryland School of Engineering, a computer that is connected to the internet is attacked an average of 2,244 times a day. These cyber threats pose risks to every organization, not just financial risk, but reputational and regulatory risks as well. For this reason, maritime organizations, their tenants and service providers, regardless of size, must make sure all crew members and personnel understand common cybersecurity threats and good preventive computer security practices. Knowing the cybersecurity basics and putting the safeguards from this program into practice will help you protect your organization and reduce the risk of a cyber attack. Learning about some of the most common cybersecurity risks and threats is essential to preventing and managing those threats. Let's go through some of the top security threats and vulnerabilities. A brute force attack is the simplest and most common way for an attacker to gain access to a computer system. A brute force attack uses a program to systematically submit all possible passwords and passphrases until the correct combination is found. To speed up the process, brute force attackers often use software that makes use of lists of dictionary words, commonly used passwords, or previously used passwords that were obtained from past security breaches. These dictionary attacks are frequently successful because many users choose weak passwords that use common words and phrases. Another common cybersecurity threat is malware. Malware, or malicious software, is unwanted code or files that can damage a computer or compromise its data. Types of malware include spyware, ransomware, viruses, and worms. Once malware infects a computer, it can copy its code and spread to other computers that are connected or are in the same network and cause even further harm. Malware can block access to data, files, or other important information, such as a ransomware attack, install more malware or other harmful software, secretly steal information through spyware, and slow down or cripple the system by disrupting components or diverting resources. Another key strategy attackers use is social engineering. Social engineering is when an attacker interacts directly with the user in an effort to trick them into disclosing sensitive information or granting access to a system. The most common form of social engineering is phishing. Phishing uses phony emails or other types of communication that appear to come from a trusted source. The goal of phishing is to trick victims into providing confidential information or allowing malware to be installed on their computers. Phishing emails often disguise themselves as familiar companies or pretend to be someone you know. Here are a few easy but important safeguards to reduce the risks of cybersecurity threats at your maritime facility or aboard your vessel. Use passwords that are at least 15 characters long, combined with the additional security of two-factor authentication. Passwords provide the first line of defense against unauthorized access. The strongest indicator of password strength is length. So whenever you can, make passwords or passphrases 15 characters or longer. If 15-character or longer passwords are used, it doesn't really matter if the password has a capital letter or number or special characters. The length of the password alone makes it a strong password. As a result, many leading cybersecurity organizations like the National Institute of Standards and Technology, NIST, recommend that longer passwords with less complexity offer better security because they are easier to remember. But even though your password is long, you should still avoid using common words or phrases that could be found in the lists used in dictionary attacks. You should also avoid using any easily obtainable personal information, like your birth date or address, in your password. If the site or software you are using does not allow a password 15 characters long, you may want to consider adding complexity by using a mix of upper and lowercase, numbers, and special characters. But a longer, simple password will always offer better security than a short, complex password. And, perhaps most importantly, do not reuse passwords. Use a different, unique password for every account. Besides passwords, you can also use two-factor authentication to protect your accounts. Two-factor authentication, or 2FA, adds an extra layer of security by requiring you to verify your identity by a second method other than your password. This is usually done by sending a link or code to a mobile phone number or email address associated with the account. A recent report from Microsoft concluded that two-factor authentication blocks 99.9% of automated attacks. But two-factor authentication and passwords can't protect you from every cyber threat. One of the most common attacks is often hidden among the hundreds of emails you receive every day. As you go about your day, be on the lookout for phishing attempts. You probably shake your head when you hear about someone sending money to the Nigerian prince that emailed them. But not every scam is quite so obvious. That's why you need to be suspicious of unsolicited phone calls, email messages, or even in-person visits from individuals asking about employees or other internal information. Look out for emails with spelling and grammar mistakes, and be suspicious of emails designed to scare you. For example, a common phishing email technique is to threaten to disable an account or delay services until you update certain information. Also, make sure that the web address and email address match the organization that the email claims to be from. For example, if an email claims to be from the U.S. Postal Service and comes from uspsmail@gmail.com, instead of an address that ends with @usps.gov, it is likely not a legitimate email. If you have any doubt about whether an email is authentic, you should always play it safe and contact the organization directly and ask if they actually sent the message, or forward the suspicious email to your internal cybersecurity personnel to ask if they think the email is genuine. Another common phishing strategy is to use dangerous links or attachments to install malware. That's why you should always be careful to avoid suspicious downloads. Be especially on guard against attachments and links in emails that seem questionable. And as we stated earlier, a good practice is to contact the sender directly and verify that they really sent the file or link if you have any doubts. But emails aren't the only risk. Downloading from a website can be dangerous too. If you are looking to download a new recipe for tonight's dinner, or even a picture, PowerPoint, or PDF for tomorrow's presentation, you need to make sure that any downloads are legitimate. A large amount of malware infections are the result of downloads from unreliable sources. If you are unsure about a link, you can hover your mouse over the text without clicking on it. This should allow you to see the full URL, which will help to show whether it leads to a legitimate website. Also, be cautious when installing or updating software. Unless a program or software is from a well-known, trusted company, you should not download it until you have thoroughly researched the software to make sure it is safe. As well as watching out for threats, we need to protect our important files and information too. Companies store all kinds of crucial information on computers, including invoices, inventory records, contracts, status reports, employee records, databases of customers, credit card information, emails, images, and more. It's essential to make a copy of all that data to keep it safe. Back up important files offline, on an external hard drive, or in the cloud. Make sure you store your sensitive paper files securely under lock and key, too. Not only does a systematic backup regimen protect important information in the event that a system crash or hard drive failure occurs, but backup also gives you the ability to restore data if the system is infected by malware or subject to a ransomware attack. And don't forget, physical security is important for a secure network as well. Always log out of computers when they are left unattended. And make sure portable hard drives, thumb drives, and laptops that contain sensitive data are locked and secured when not in use. And lastly, use safe online practices. By investing your time learning best practice online habits, you can save yourself a lot of stress and potential financial loss in the long term. Online safety really comes down to 3 basic rules. First, be careful about what information you share. Don't give out identifiable personal or business intelligence too easily. Be especially careful when an unknown person or a website asks you for your contact information or other personal details. And make sure to set your privacy settings in your social networking account. Privacy settings make it harder for social engineering attacks to target you. Another way you might inadvertently share your personal information is through public Wi-Fi. Public Wi-Fi is available just about everywhere, from the local coffee shop to ports, docks, hotels, and airports you may visit while traveling. But using a public network on your laptop or smartphone could be a security risk. A public Wi-Fi network is inherently less secure than your personal or work network, and you should avoid using them when possible. However, when it's not practical or even possible to avoid using a public network, you can still limit the risk if you keep these tips in mind. Only connect to public networks that have a security feature like a password or login. Don't access bank accounts or company-sensitive data on public networks. Don't shop online on a public network either, since purchases include personal information that could expose login information or banking credentials. Turn off your automatic connectivity setting. You do not want your phone or computer connecting to a public network without your permission or knowledge. Consider using a virtual private network, VPN. VPNs encrypt the data traveling to and from your laptop or phone and connect you to a secure server, so it is harder for other people on the public network to see what you are doing. Second, be cautious about the sites you visit and links you click online. Don't open up your system to attack with careless online browsing. Avoid phony free offers, clickbait, and online quizzes. They are usually some form of social engineering. If something sounds too good to be true or asks for too much information, that should be a red flag. The HTTPS in front of a web address means that a website is secure and uses encrypted data. When shopping or banking online, look for the HTTPS prefix and padlock icon in the URL field. And don't click on ads. Clicking on ads might just collect information about your browsing habits, but may sometimes collect personal information as well. And even worse, some ads could even infect your computer with malware. Believe it or not, ads posted on some legitimate sites can contain unsafe links too. Disabling pop-ups in your browser and using an ad blocker are also good ways to protect against malicious advertising. And finally, third, keep your software and browser up to date. When you make sure you have the latest operating systems, browsers, and apps installed on computers and devices that connect to the internet, the security protocols in the software help protect against cyber attacks. And don't forget, if you see anything suspicious or need help, reach out to your designated cybersecurity authority or whoever is in charge of the cybersecurity protocols at your organization. As an employee, you're on the front line of computer security for your organization. And with the knowledge and simple safeguards you've learned from this program, you and your coworkers can greatly reduce risks, strengthen your company's security, and help keep your information safe. The goal of maritime cyber risk management is to support safe and secure operations, which are resilient to cyber risks. When it comes to cyber threats, there are special considerations maritime personnel need to be aware of to keep their shore and vessel computer systems secure. Usually, when we refer to computer systems, we are talking about information technology. Most computer systems are considered information technology, IT, because they primarily store, retrieve, and send data and information. While maritime personnel should practice all the usual safeguards and cybersecurity practices for IT, cybersecurity on board ships and at maritime facilities requires additional considerations because of their use of operational technology, OT. Examples of operational technology include bridge, communication, propulsion, navigation, machinery, and power control systems. Operational technology, unlike information technology, uses data and information to control and monitor physical equipment and processes. Operational technology has different security requirements because response time is critical. Safety is the primary consideration. Even momentary downtime may be unacceptable, and risks include harm to personnel, environment, equipment, as well as regulatory non-compliance. Approaches to managing cybersecurity risks will be vessel, facility, and company-specific. Following are a few basic cyber safety guidelines that all maritime personnel should try to be vigilant of. Never connect external media or personal devices to operational systems or company hardware. These devices may be missing security patches, controls, and antivirus software, and have a high risk of introducing malware into the system. While it may be tempting to plug your cell phone in to charge when the battery is low, or plug in a personal USB drive to print a document, doing so is a very dangerous practice and could infect a vessel's systems. Another cybersecurity guideline should be to never allow unauthorized personnel to install or update software on company hardware. Malware can easily be inadvertently introduced into a vessel's or company's system. Only authorized personnel who are experienced in security protocols should install or update software. Next, pay attention to risks from the physical presence of non-company personnel. Make sure to follow proper procedures for verifying the identity of outside personnel. For example, third-party technicians who are left to work on equipment without supervision. Sometimes, criminals will go so far as to impersonate an employee or inspector to gain access to your vessel or company's systems to obtain valuable information. These guidelines and the general cybersecurity information and safeguards presented earlier are important aspects of identifying the typical strategies of cybercriminals and limiting risk. However, all personnel should also make sure they are familiar with their own organizations and vessels' cybersecurity and cyber safety procedures. The U.S. Coast Guard recently issued Guidelines for Addressing Cyber Risks at Maritime Transportation Security Act, MTSA regulated facilities, in March of 2020. This circular can be accessed at www.dco.uscg.mil and provides guidance to facility owners and operators in complying with the requirements to assess, document, and address computer system or network vulnerabilities. The International Maritime Organization, IMO, recommends that administrators of marine and offshore organizations implement cybersecurity risk management into their safety management system no later than their first annual inspection after January 1st, 2021. The IMO released cybersecurity guidance in the document Guidelines on Maritime Cyber Risk Management. The IMO recommendations present several standards to help identify and mitigate cyber risks. including 5 functional elements modeled on the NIST, National Institute of Standards and Technology Framework. These functional elements include the activities and desired outcomes of cyber risk management across critical systems affecting maritime operations and information exchange. These standards should be part of an ongoing process with effective feedback mechanisms so an organization can continually develop policies that respond to evolving cyber vulnerabilities that are unique to a company's or vessel's specific management or operations. The first element of an effective cyber risk management framework is to identify. Define personnel roles and responsibilities for cyber risk management and identify the systems, assets, data, and capabilities that, when disrupted, pose risks to ship operations. The second element is to protect. Implement risk control processes and measures and contingency planning to protect against a cyber event and ensure continuity of shipping operations. The third element is to detect. Develop and implement activities necessary to detect a cyber event in a timely manner. The fourth element to implement is respond. Develop and implement activities and plans to provide resilience and to restore systems necessary for shipping operations or services impaired due to a cyber event. And the fifth element is to recover. Identify measures to back up and restore cyber systems necessary for shipping operations impacted by a cyber event. Effective cyber risk management should embed a culture of cybersecurity awareness. Personnel at every level of an organization, from crews working on board vessels to port and company management on shore, should be aware of cyber risks applicable to their daily tasks and routines. Organizational behavior and attitude towards cybersecurity are the most important element in managing the risks. When everyone recognizes their role and duty in safeguarding both information and operational technology systems, a maritime organization can greatly reduce their risk of cyber threats, helping to ensure the safety of maritime crew, vessels, cargo, and ports.